Alright, this one's real short. It will be part of 14, Chapter 13, Passenger Train Emergency Preparedness, Part 239. Written guidance is currently being developed and will be published in the near future. Alright, Chapter 4, Reflectorization of Railway Freight Rolling Stock. The Federal Railroad Administration published the final rule of reflectorization railroad freight rolling stock, Title 49 CFR Part 224, on October 28, 2005. The effective date published in the Federal Register, Volume Number 7, Number 208, Number 28205. The purpose of the rule is to require the application of retroreflective tape and material inside of the freight rolling stock, freight cars, and locomotives to enhance the visibility of trains during times of limited visibility. Years of research, public involvement has been devoted to the issue, making the trains more visible to road crossings, especially when visibility is limited due to the weather or nighttime conditions. The rule addresses the need for reflectorization railway equipment, as well as description of the FRA research public outreach efforts and aimed and identified the most effective method of implementing national-wide reflectorization program. The rule provides car owners up to 10 years to see Title 224-107 Table 3 for the implementation dates which apply retroflective material to their equipment, and the locomotive's owners of 5 years in which equipment with either their locomotive. The rule provided guidance with the characteristic of the material, the dimension, and quantity to be applied, as well as the location for consistent application. Guidance. When reflective sheeting required is to be applied with the freight cars and locomotives constructed after June 26, 2006. Statute 224-107A1, freight cars and locomotives constructed after January 26, 2006 must be equipped with retroreflective sheeting before being placed in service. When is retroreflective sheeting required to be applied with the existing freight car locomotives that is off October of 28, 2005 were not equipped with any retroreflective material? Statute 224-107A2-1. 224 provides the two alternative schedules for application required for the retroreflective material railroad equipment already in service at the time of the the ruling publication. As applied with the freight cars, first and default schedule of the statutes 224-107A2-1 requires the retroreflective sheeting be applied with the existing cars when the cars were repainted or rebuilt, or within 9 months of the 270 calendar days after the car has first undergone the single car air brake test or the SP SCBAT pursuant to statute 232-305, similar to as applied with locomotives. This default scheduled in the statute 224-107B2-1 requires conforming the retroreflective sheeting applied to locomotives not later than 9 months after the first biannual inspection pursuant to statute 229-29 occurring after November 28, 2005. Alternatively, the statute 224-107A2-B2 permit freight cars and locomotives to be reflectorized. One or the more individual flexible schedule provided with certain conditions are met. Specifically, the paragraphs permit the freight rolling stock owners as defined in statute 224-5 to opt the default schedule of statute 224-107A2-1 and B2-1 and to develop and implement their own schedule for the reflectorization provided by the owner. Files with the reflectorization implementation compliance report with the FRA 2 that complies with implementation schedules in tables 3 of the freight cars and 4 of the locomotives of this section. It is important to note that because the fleet owner may elect to opt out on the default schedule of the rule to affect the reflectorization equipment according to its own plan, filing reflectorization implementation compliance report when examining equipment subject to the Part 224 construction on or before January 26 to determine whether the equipment is required to be equipped with conforming retroflective material, and inspector first determining the relevant owner and for the file compliance report with the FRA. Moreover, if the owner had filed the complaints report, the violation could not be pursuant to the failing equipment specific car or the locomotive with the reflectorization unless it is shown that the percentage of the freight cars and locomotives identified in Table 3 and 4 of Part 224 are not met. When retroreflective sheeting required to be applied with existing freight cars or locomotives or that are, as of October 28, 2005, were equipped with at least 1 square foot of the retroreflective sheeting, provide responsibility with freight rolling stock owners and reflectorization implementation compliance report with the FRA sheeting is not unqualified retroreflective sheeting as defined in statute 224-5. Freight cars and locomotives that are as October 28, 2005 were equipped with at least 1 square foot of the retroreflective sheeting and are grandfathered until November 28, 2015. Where can retroreflective sheeting be applied? 2024-106 location Retroreflective sheeting. Generally, retroreflective sheeting shall be applied up along the length of each of the railroad freight car side manner provided with a uniform industrial standard accepted by the association administrated that provides for distribution of material along the length of each of the car as close as practicable to 40 inches above the top of the rail. Diagrams are included with the statute 224-106 and guidelines for the general application. If the retrospective sheeting is applied with the vertical portion with at least 4 by 36-inch strip, 4 by 18-inch strips above the others shall be applied to close to each end of the car as practicable between two vertical end strips. A minimum of 1/4 18-inch strip shall be applied at least every 12 feet applicable. If the retroflective sheeting is applied with the horizontal pattern, is at least 1 by 4 by 3 36-inch strip, 2 4 by 8 inches strips, one above the next to the other, and shall be applied as close to each end of the car as practicable. Between these end strips, a minimum of 1 4/8 of an inch strip shall be applied at least to every 12 feet as practicable. Note that these are general specifications for freight cars. The specification vary from tanker cars, flat cars, and for special construction for locomotives. What is retroreflective sheeting is acceptable to Statute 224-105 sheeting dimension and quantity. The amount of retroreflective sheeting to be applied with each of the car locomotive subject to Part 224 depending on the length of the car locomotive and color of the sheeting. The purpose of the part is the length of the railroad freight car locomotive is measured at the incel and incel exclusive upler and draft gear of the Table 2. The subpart B of the Part 224 provides the minimum quantity requirements for retroreflective sheeting on freight rolling stock. What color of retroreflective sheeting are acceptable and how will we be able to determine if the product is compliant? 224-103. Characteristics of retroreflective sheeting. Retroreflective sheeting applied with the pursuant to Part 224 shall be yellow, fluorescent yellow. White is specified in chromatic coordinates with the ASTM International Standards D495604. The characteristics of the FRA 224 consisting with the manufacturer's certification that retroreflective sheet conforms to the requirements of paragraph A and C of the statute 224-103 shall appear at least one of the exposed surfaces of each of the pieces of the sheeting in the final application. The character shall be a minimum of 3 millimeters high and shall be permanently stamped each etched or molded printed within the product, and each certification shall be placed no more than 4 inches apart. Are both horizontal and vertical applications in compliance? On railroad freight cars other than flat cars, tanker cars, retroreflective sheeting shall be applied in either the vertical or horizontal pattern along the length of the car side at the bottom of the edge, and the sheeting is as close to practicable as 42 inches above the top of the rail. Retroreflective sheeting shall not be applied below the side sill. How are the strips to be placed? The retroreflective sheeting is applied with the vertical pattern, at least 1 4 by 36-inch strip, 2 by 4 by 18-inch strips, one above the other, shall be applied as close to each end of the car as possible. Between the two vertical end strips, minimum of 1 4/8 of an inch strip shall be applied at least every 12 feet possible. If retroreflective sheeting is applied with the horizontal pattern, at least 1 4 by 36-inch strip or 2 4 18-inch strips, one above the next, and another shall be applied with close to each end of the car as possible. Between those end strips, a minimum of 1 4/18 inch strip shall be applied at least every 12 feet as possible. Note that general specification for freight cars, the specification vary for the tanks, cars, and flat cars, cars of special construction, and locomotive. How do I submit a compliance report to the FRA? The compliance report may be submitted electronically by filing the paper copy completed with the FRA Form 6180-111-3, founded with the Appendix B of the Title 49 CFR Part 224 with the following: Creative Information Technology Incorporated, 4601 North Fairfax Drive, Suite 1100, Arlington, Virginia 22203, 703-548-3313, extension 23223, point of contact Angelica Manamia. Alright, Chapter 15. Guidelines for enforcement mechanical for the rail grinding equipment.